Okay. Hi, guys. Good evening, everyone. We are live now. And for your information, I'm recording the workshop so that we can have a recorded video for others to watch later. So I'm happy to welcome everyone today on today's workshop. My name is Johnson Wall. Some of you that are old to this platform already know me. I'm the host on behalf of Safeoclock. There are other people that attends this program regularly with us. So this is a health and safety virtual interactive workshop. We hold this workshop every week, Thursday by 6 p.m. Every week, Thursday by 6 p.m., we gather here to discuss different health and safety topics. So today, we are discussing lifting operations. So we'll have a time for question and answer. We'll have a time also for contributions. We'll give room for everyone to contribute. If you have anything to contribute, just raise your hand or you type in the comment section. We'll give you the opportunity to contribute. Okay, so without wasting much time, I want us to start immediately so that we'll be able to cover everything we have today within 1 hour. All right, so I'll welcome Mr. Joseph. First, he will introduce himself and tell us everything about him. Then he will start off with the presentation. So, Mr. Joseph, you have the floor.
John, thank you very much for the opportunity. It's a platform giving a lot of information about health and safety, and especially the main requirements in either in Middle East or wherever is it in the world. So I have been in lifting and rigging industry for the past 12 years and working with Caterpillar approved. I have been in the education city stadium for the World Cup 2022. I have been working with Shell as well. And with all the experience I have, it's a great thing for me to always share the information, because especially with health and safety team, I consider health and safety team as eyes on the site, because when they know the main requirement, when they know the requirements in lifting and rigging, when you are not on site, they can support you, they can assist you and avoid incident and accidents. So today we will talk about lifting and rigging operation and what exactly we are going to cover during this seminar. We are going to talk about some definitions, because there are a lot of things that people don't really understand in lifting and rigging, and it will be a good platform for us to highlight those things. We will talk about the legal requirements. The legal requirements in lifting and rigging are very important in every aspect, and knowing them will add value not only to the health and safety team, but in case of any incident, the health and safety team and the lifting and rigging professional, even the managers, they will be able to know what exactly they are lacking or they are lagging and how they can improve the system. Apart from that, we will talk about the goods and the wrong practices we see on various sites, and also the process flow with the procedures. Apart from that, who is actually a lifting competent person? So what are the requirements for a rigger, for a lifting appointed person, for a lifting supervisor? We will discuss about all those things. So we will proceed with the first things. John, can you hear me?
Clearly, we can hear you and we can see your screen as well. Go ahead.
Okay, correct. So what is lifting actually? Lifting is a process of moving a load from one place to another using what? Lifting equipment and or lifting appliances. And what are we calling actually lifting equipment? Those lifting equipment includes cranes and accessories. And accessories, when we talk about accessories, we are talking about shackles, slings, chain blocks, and so on and so on. Who exactly is a lifting competent person? I'm going a little bit fast because we have only 1 hour. And by the support of Safeoclock, I think we will have more detailed training. This is actually an informative section, actually. So lifting and rigging competent person is someone trained and qualified to carry out lifting activities. So when we talk about competent, what is competency? Competency is something we call actually in health and safety case. The person has knowledge, ability, training, and experience. Not everyone can wake up in the morning and say that I'm a competent person in lifting and rigging. Okay, so what are the legal requirements, especially for health and safety team and lifting professionals? Those things need to be like their Bible or their Quran. So every time they have to go through it and know the requirements of lifting and rigging operations. LOLA, Lifting Operations and Lifting Equipment Regulation 1998. What this is talking about, we will talk about it in the next slide. Power, BS 7121. What are the different sections of BS 7121? ASME, B30, Syria. We are going to also talk about the country requirement. Country requirements such as QCS, for example, or if you go to UK, what are the requirements? And also client needs. On site, we have the client regulation which we need to comply with, and also the company procedure. People ask me how ISO 45001 2018 and 14001 is associated to lifting and rigging. So of course, yes, those are the requirements associated to lifting and rigging. So going to the next slide. Actually, at the end, I will share this presentation with you. Then you can share it with the audience for them to go through it, and they will have ideas about what are the main requirements. Talking about LOLA, okay? LOLA actually is talking about the lifting equipment, how they are used, okay? What are their conditions before we use them? Who is actually equipment? LOLA also emphasized on proper planning of lifting activities. You cannot just wake up in the morning and say that we have a job, then you start doing it. No, every lifting activity shall be planned. And this planning need to be done by a competent person. As we previously said, that competent person need to have the knowledge, the ability, the training, and the experience to plan the lifting activity. Power. Provision and use of work equipment regulations. What are the responsibilities of the employees? What are the responsibilities of the employers? The employer has the responsibility to provide adequate and suitable equipment to employees to carry out the activity. The employer has the responsibility, of course, to provide a proper method of work through a competent person. And the employer has to ensure that the equipment used by the employees on site are maintained, well maintained, certified, and having the enough capacity to carry out the activity. BS 7121. BS 7121 has various parts, and here we just highlight the inspection part, testing and examination. What are the requirements? How many months, after how many months we can inspect a mobile crane? After 6 months. After how many months we can inspect rigging gears? After 6 months. So In some companies, they have contingency inspection frame where they can say, we need to inspect only the lifting gears for 3 months. Instead of 6 months, we want to ensure the good safety of our items, so we have to do it every 3 months. But as per BS 7121 is 6 months. Especially people say for tower cranes, we have to inspect it after 1 year. Yes, it's correct. But if that equipment, either tower crane or mobile crane, is lifting a personnel, that equipment has to be inspected every 6 months, no matter what. BS 7121 also spoke about the mobile crane, how do we use it, how do we maintain it, and so on and so on. ASME is something that a standard that we don't really apply a lot in Middle East, but somewhere else, like in the US, they use ASME. ASME specify the constructability of the equipment. For example, if you take a lattice boom, what are the structural engineering requirements need to be applied to the construction of a crawler crane? ASME also talk about the operation. How do we operate it? How do we inspect it? How do we test it? And the maintenance. Serial C703 is a standard, is a hidden standard actually, which people don't really know, but it emphasizes the use of cranes, their stability, and the ground bearing pressure or ground bearing capacity. What is ground bearing pressure? People confuse ground bearing pressure with ground bearing capacity. The ground bearing capacity is the capacity of the soil or the ground to withstand some pressure, a specific pressure. The ground bearing pressure is the pressure the crane, the counterweight, the loads, all those combinations are applying on the soil. So we have a difference between the ground bearing pressure and the ground bearing capacity. How do we define the ground bearing capacity? Normally, it's a civil team which has to do a field test to check the capacity of the soil. The ground bearing pressure is defined or determined by a competent person, lifting appointed person, ASME, lifting engineer, and so on and so on. And we have specific calculations for any type of ground, actually. So when we talk about the country requirements, taking an example of QCS, QCS emphasize on various aspects of the type of lifting activities we should have, the competency of the personnel, and who exactly has to plan the lifting activities. The QCS say that appointed person is the one to plan the lifting activities. And when we give contracts, for example, to Qatar Petroleum is giving a contract to any company, for example, in Qatar, how Qatar Petroleum has to control the lifting activities. What are the responsibility of Qatar Petroleum and what are the responsibility of the contractor? So all those aspects need to be known by health and safety professionals and lifting and rigging professionals. Apart from that, the project team and so on. Apart from the country requirements, we have the client requirements. For example, we talk about Qatar Petroleum lifting and rigging regulations. Revision 5, when I was there, it was revision 5. Today, I don't know how much they are. Maybe something has changed with the new project they have in Qatar Gas. And apart from that, we have Ashgal, for example, we have Qatar Energy, which is now Qatar Petroleum, which is now Qatar Energy. Shell requirement, with either offshore or onshore, there are procedures that we have to follow, okay? And the company procedure, this company procedure is not Qatar Petroleum procedure, but the company ABC procedure, which we as lifting and rigging professional or health and safety professional, we have to comply with. ISO 45001, 2018. How is it applied to lifting and rigging? ISO 45001 is talking about a lot of things, like record, the Plan to Check Act. How do we ensure that all the lifting activity we are doing are recorded? How do we improve the activities? So as a health and safety professional or lifting and rigging professional, when you combine those information or standard to your knowledge and ability, it's actually a growth. And ISO 14001, we are using crane. With crane, we use diesels. So how do we maintain the cranes? How do we ensure that we don't have spillage on the ground? What are the stakeholders' responsibilities to ensure that we don't have spillage on the ground? How do we ensure that we don't have air pollution? By using what? By using spark arrestors. How do we ensure that the oil leak on the ground does not affect the ground? How do we ensure that the soil or the water is not contaminated by using spill kit? So all those things are some aspects of lifting and rigging that we need to know. So moving forward, we will discuss about the good and wrong practices. And I don't know if we have some question or we continue, then at the end, people ask questions. John?
Yeah, we continue. We have a session for questions at the end.
Great, thank you very much. So we can see that when we put the red cross, it's not allowed. And where we put the green tick, that is the main requirement, what we're supposed to be doing. Lifting activities, most of the issues or accidents that happened in lifting industry are due to bad rigging. It's not because of the weights, because people think that when it's 200 ton, 500 ton, we are lifting reactors in Aramco Saudi or in Qatar Petroleum. This is the reason why we have to put in place all the control measures. No, every lifting activity has to be controlled, has to be planned. And there are some specific aspects of the planning that we need to ensure that we meet all the requirements. When it's come to rigging, the maximum lift sling angle we can reach is 90 degrees. We cannot exceed that. If we take the example of lifting a bottle of waters, bottle or whatever is it, when we put our hands this way, like our gentleman is doing here, it's painful actually. The same stress is applied to the slings when we put the angles too much. People say that we don't have to go up to 120. 120 is not something advisable. The maximum we can go is 90 degrees, and the best is 60 degrees. How do we define the 60 degree? If you have the distance between two lifting points, 6 meters, put 6 meter slings 2 times, you have 60 degrees on top. It's what we call it, equilateral triangle. 6 meter lifting log, the distance between two lifting logs, the distance, the length of the sling should be 6 meters, 6 meters. So you get your 60 degree on top and without comment. How do we define the capacity of the slings to be used? There are calculations on that. And again, if Safeoclock assist us, we will have other sections where we talk about the definition. How do we define the rigging gears? How do we select cranes? How do we select shackles? And so on and so on. That will be in the upcoming section. So, center of gravity. Center of gravity has a big role actually on or in lifting and rigging. You cannot do a lift without defining the center of gravity of the load, because your load can swing at any point, and then that is creating actually a dynamic load. When you create a dynamic load, it's between 25% to 50% of the loads you are lifting. Means if your crane hasn't the capacity to lift that load at the specific radius, you tip over the crane. So we need to ensure that we define the center of gravity. If you have, for example, a load where you cannot know the center of gravity, you do a tri lift. You do a tri lift. You just pick the load a little bit up and you define the center of gravity. If you, for example, for this concrete block, where we know that, okay, all the loads is not equally distributed, we use chain block to adjust the level of the load until we balance it. So that's center of gravity. And the choke, how do we choke actually? Here we can see the pin of the shackle up. What is the role of a shackle? A shackle is like a shock absorber. A shock absorber when we are doing lifting activities. So here we are putting the pin on top, and when we give tension in the wire rope or any sling, that tension can remove the pin out of the shackle, which definitely will lead to an accident. So the best way is to put the bow on top and the pin at the bottom. Moving forward, we have here the sling is wrapped on the hook. This is happening on various sites, which is not correct. So the best way is to put a shackle, and you can see the position of the shackle. You have to put a shackle inside the hook. If you know that your hook, the height of your hook is not sufficient to put all the 4 slings, you put a bigger shackle, then you put the slings inside. That's how it works. Here we are damaging the eye bolt. They are putting sling through the eye bolts, and here we are putting the hook into the eye bolt. Those are things we see on various sites which are not correct. So the best way to use an eye bolt is to put a shackle inside. How do we choke a pipe? This is daily job, daily thing we see. Even in Europe or in US, you can see this kind of things. People are choking pipe without shackle. As I just said, a shackle is a shock absorber. Here we can see that the sling eye is affecting or is compressing the width of the sling. Means the capacity of that sling, if it is 1 ton, is no more 1 ton sling. Apart from that, when we choke it, we have a reduction of 20%. So all those things, we need to know it to move forward. Here, how do we use a lifting clamp? A lifting clamp cannot be used anyhow. We have to use proper ways. For example, when we are lifting a vertical pipe, or you are lifting a pipe vertically, you don't have to put like we cross it here, you don't have to do it that way, or the sling angle is more than 60 degrees, it's not allowed, because you are side loading actually the clamp. We have another option also here. When we are using plate, we are lifting plates. Instead of pipe, we are lifting plate. Okay, we can use spreader bar on top instead of putting the angle too small or too big. So I hope you guys are getting the points. The mobile crane.
Yes, we are getting you. Go ahead.
At the right side, okay, thank you. Lifting on tires. Some manufacturers, they put the load chart where you can lift on the tire, but it's not a safe practice actually. And we need to find what are the constraints we have before taking the decision of lifting on tires. Always the outrigger shall be fully extended, and the tires, after the outriggers are extended, the tires shall not touch the ground. Because when you do a lift or you have more counterweight on the crane weight is acting on the tires, and your capacity, the capacity of your crane is no more the same actually. So it's forbidden to lift on tires. The same applies to boom trucks as well. On site, you see the boom truck operators not using a stabilizer. They bring the trailer to site, the boom truck to site without using the stabilizer. Of course, we have to use the stabilizer. On the next pictures, we can see that the crane operator is dragging the load. No matter what, the crane wire up sling need to be vertical. The verticality of the wire up of any crane should be checked, or shall be checked actually, by the lifting supervisor at every moment, especially when we are doing a tile or a tandem lift. When we are doing a tandem lift, it happens that one crane wire up is oblique and the lifting supervisor is not putting any action or not doing anything to ensure that we have the verticality. When the sling or the wire up are in angle, we reduce totally the capacity of the wire up. So always the verticality of the sling. Please, just 1 minute. Let me take
Okay, guys, before Mr. Joseph returns, are you here? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I just said the verticality of the wire up sling of any crane need to be checked. Moving forward, this is one of the golden rules we have on various sites. You don't have to, you do not lift, no, you do not stand under suspended load. Sometimes you don't stand under suspended load, but the suspended load pass over you on site. And how do we ensure that we mitigate those risks, or we eliminate those risks? By putting in place barricade, and if required, we put sportmen, okay, sportmen, where those guys are the one to check people who are unauthorized people coming inside the working zone. We saw on various sites that the crane operator and the riggers, they barricade the crane without barricading the trailer or barricading where they are going to pick the load. It's not a safe practice. We have to avoid that. We have to always ensure that from the picking to the offloading area, we barricade it. And we ensure that unauthorized people are not coming inside that barricade. It's when we finish the job that they have the right to come and do whatever they have to do. Sometimes the team, for example, mechanical team is pushing hard to ensure that they come to do some unbolting, they come to do this and do that. No, they do their job to some points, and we come, we do our lift, and then they come to finalize their job once we finish. This is how it will, this is how we have to do it. And also lifting above equipment. This is a car, maybe the Ferrari of John, and someone is lifting above it, And in case of any failure of rigging gear, this will be problematic. So it will create accidents, and we have to avoid those kind of things. So people always talk about incidents related to lifting activities, and I wanted to show some pictures and the reports, because as a lifting and rigging professional or health and safety professional, we need to be able to see or to read some reports related to some accident or incidents. On the first picture, the ground bearing capacity was not sufficient enough to withstand the crane and the counterweight. Apart from that, we were having underground facilities. Then the crane tipped over, the crane collapsed, the loss of 500,000 US dollar plus the cost of the crane is higher than buying a bigger outrigger mat. Those are the cost implications we need. We as a health and safety professional, we need to analyze and inform our management. Okay, we need a bigger outrigger mat. He said, no, for that we need a 2-trailer. 2-trailer, we are talking about 400 or 500 US dollar for each. So because of $1,000, we are losing $1 million. Which one the employer will prefer? So we need to let them understand the cost implication, because what they need is the cost implication, the time, and also the other implication. Other implication. So on the next picture at the bottom of the crane, where we had the ground bearing pressure issue, the boom actually bent. The boom bent during a lifting operation. After the investigation, it was found actually that it has been a while that the crane was not inspected or the crane was not maintained. But third party was coming to do inspection, get money without inspecting the crane. So what is the role or responsibility of a third party while inspecting a crane? That needs to be clearly defined with the supply chain team or with your contractual team. When they come, they have to do exactly what they are called for: thorough inspection of the equipment. Apart from that, the crane operator, after picking the load, was trying to extend the boom. It's not allowed. Once you pick the load, you can no more extend the boom. But this crane operator, because he's Usain Bolt, he decided to extend the boom while lifting. And then this incident happened, which is costly. He has been jailed for that. His blue card in his country has been removed. He can no more operate crane. So those are the things. On the other picture, where we can see the slings in the air, resulting to the car breaking or getting damaged, the sling was inspected. The sling was in good condition, but failed because of what was overloaded. So those are the things we have as a health and safety professional and lifting. We have to think about before planning, while planning, and while executing the job. Okay. Here, we will discuss about the lifting operation process flow. How do we plan lifting operations? Before I was talking about the regulations, and I spoke about ISO 45001, in which we have plan, do, check, act. So every lifting activity has to be planned. You go for site visit, you do lifting, you prepare the lift plan. Preparation of the lift plan includes the selection of the crane, selection of the rigging gears based on the weight of the load, the site condition, and so on. The method statement. Yes, some companies, they don't really apply method statement, but actually the method statement states the steps of the lifting activity, what exactly you are going to do from A to Z. The risk assessment define the risks associated to the job and what are the control measures we are putting in place to mitigate those risks. GSA, just safety and environmental analysis. The final work pack, which need to be approved. For example, if you work in a big company like Shell, Qatar Petroleum, and so on and so on, the work pack need to be approved by the client before you proceed for the job. You do the job. The execution, I will not go through all this, but we need to understand that all lifting activities need to be planned, and during the execution, we need to ensure proper control of the job. And at the end, all lifting activities need to be recorded. The appointed person in some companies or lifting engineers, they come, they prepare the plan. When they are leaving the company, they have everything in their laptop and they go. No, everything needs to be recorded. We have to have a continuity of the process. And what are the required documents we need for every lifting activities? Every lifting activity, we need definitely the lift plan. We need the lift plan. We need also the crane lift, the lift permit. We cannot just go to site because we have risk assessment, everything, then we don't have lifting permit or the permit to work. It depends on the company. Some companies, they require to have a crane lift permit. Some companies, they have the permit, the overall permit, in which everything is included. So the third-party certificates of the crane, of the personnel, of the crane operator, all those things need to be available on site before we proceed with the job. So those are the steps we have in the lifting activities. And once John shared this with you, you can go through it one by one. And John, you are saying something? John, you're mute. Okay, okay. So moving forward, I would like to show you a small video.
Hello, your video don't have the sounds.
Yeah, those are some of the hazards we have in lifting and rigging, and the video is for 6 minutes, but if we have to continue, it will take all our time. So moving forward, we will go ahead with the requirements for a lifting personnel. What are the training required for lifting personnel or lifting and rigging team? Rigger actually has to go for a rigger training. No matter what, without being trained as a rigger, you are not allowed to rig a load. Crane operator. The crane operator, in order to know if the rigger is doing his job properly, has to have rigger training, then crane operator training. Then we come to lifting supervisors. Lifting supervisor has to have rigger training because he's the one controlling the lifting activities. He has to be the one, he's the one to decide which rigging gears we have to use for the job. So he has to have rigger training, but not forcefully to be a crane operator or to have a crane operator training. But definitely he has to go to lifting supervisor training as well. Lifting engineer. Lifting engineer, instead, if he has to know how to rig a load, he has to go for rigger training. Actually, good rigger training, not to go to any training center, get money, give money, and you get the certificate. No. Rigger training, all those trainings we are talking about are reliable or supposed to be reliable training. So the lifting engineer has to have rigger training, but not forcefully to be a crane operator or forcefully to be a lifting supervisor. But people say that, okay, do we need the lifting engineer to have an engineering degree? Yes. If you want to be an engineer, you have to have engineering degree. Yes. And appointed person training, because in appointed person training, there are a lot of things: how to set up the crane, how to calculate the ground bearing pressure, how to define the rigging gears, or how to select the crane to be used. The training is there. So the higher level, which is lifting appointed person, lifting specialist, or subject matter expert, you need definitely to have a rigger training. Not firstly, you don't need the crane operator training, but you have to be before a lifting supervisor, someone who has training on site, who has been on site to feel how the work is done. You don't need to be an engineer to be appointed person. You don't need it. I know so many lifting and rigging appointed person or subject matter expert or specialist who don't have actually engineering degree, but they are very competent. They are very competent in lifting and rigging. And at the end of the day, they have to have appointed person training or any other training higher than the lifting supervisor training. On this, I will say thank you for having me. We will give the opportunity to Mr. John to take over, and if someone has a question, to ask it. The next session, we will like to talk about the lifting and rigging calculations, and if Safeoclock assist on that, that would be great. Thank you. So if you have some questions, you can proceed. You can unmute and ask your question.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Joseph.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Joseph, for that excellent presentation. I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you guys for putting up something like this to educate the people and keep them better off. As a matter of fact, I'm listening from Oman. So I just want to say thank you guys for the efforts. It's quite appreciable. Thank you, guys.
Thank you too. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, our brother from Oman. It's nice to have you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Joseph and Safeoclock. Thank you. This is Arshad from India. Okay, really, this presentation was fruitful for us, and in which a very grateful knowledge I have received. Okay, so I am very great. Thanks to you. Okay. And also I would request you to, as you said, there is a calculation how we can calculate the stress of the ceilings, how we can calculate the degrees. So this the formula, if you will consider in this training, it will be more fruitful for everyone.
Thank you very much, Hamid.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Hi, this is Mr. Harrison. Hi, good evening, everyone. Yeah, good evening, Mr. Joseph.
Hi, I'm Mr. Harrison. Hi.
Yeah, thank you so much. Good evening. And Mr. Joseph Dusu, our anchor for today, thank you so much, or our trainer for today, so to say. Thank you very much. You have done so marvelously well. You have done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate. However, you know, lifting activity is a very wide topic, and it's critical in nature. You know.
Exactly.
I really want to thank you, and I have a few questions as well, okay, to ask.
Go ahead.
Purpose of clearance, okay.
Okay.
The number one will be what will be the difference between the method statements for a lifting activity and the lifting procedure? You understand? Then number two will be you made mention of a non-attest zone. What is a non-attest zone? And and course number three will be, what is the difference between the lifting engineer, or maybe their duties, okay? The lifting engineer and the lifting appointed person. I hope I didn't bother you too much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, great. So starting with the last question, what is the difference between a lifting appointed person and a lifting engineer? They are actually doing the same thing, but sometimes the lifting appointed person has no engineering degree, and the lifting appointed person is not say boss, but the leader of the lifting engineers. So the lifting engineer is working under the lifting appointed person. The appointed person can know everything, knows everything to be done in lifting and rigging, but he cannot design. He cannot prepare the lift plan in AutoCAD. So the support is lifting engineer. So that is the difference. So the lifting appointed person gives all the ideas, and it's true, the lifting engineer also knows what to do, but the lifting engineer design where the lifting appointed person doesn't design.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Sometimes the lifting appointed person design, because me as a lifting appointed person, I do everything. So I design all the calculations, all those things. Yes.
Yeah, I am asking because from your training, I've come to understand that the lifting appointed person is, I will use the word superior to the engineer, to the lifting engineer. Am I correct? Yes. From your training? So that is so
you are correct. You are correct.
I got that just today. Thank you so much for that. And is it possible in an organization that we could just have a lifting appointed person? There'll be no need for the lifting engineer. Is it possible?
Of course, yes. Because once the appointed person is able to handle the lifting engineer job, it's done. Because he can design.
Yes.
As long as he can design, it's done. There's no requirement of lifting engineer. That's it.
Thank you very much for that clearance. Thank you so much. And I think the next one was the non-attest zone. You make mention of that somewhere and
attest zone are zones where you have you cannot go with explosive items.
Okay.
Yes. So if you go there with explosive items, or you are using non-attest equipment there, that can lead to explosion. So we need to think about all those things. And that, as a lifting appointed person or competent person in lifting and rigging, is your requirement now to advise the supply chain team that when they are buying the shackle, or when they are buying this kind of PPEs, they don't have to buy any kind of PPEs, but non-explosive equipment. So that's the answer.
Yeah. So non-access actually mean non-explosive.
Yes.
Something of that nature. Non-explosive.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Then I was talking about
Good evening, friend.
This might be very trivial regarding the method statement and the lifting procedure. Method statement, we have lifting procedure also, you know.
Yeah, the method statement states the process of the lifting operation from A to Z. We do a toolbox stock, we barricade the area, we set up the crane, we do a try run to check if the counterweight is touching something or not. Then we raise the boom up, or we do the checklist of the crane and so on and so on. We check the rigging gears. Those are the steps. This is the method statement. Okay, but the lifting procedure is the lifting Bible or Quran of the company. What can we do and what we cannot do?
Cleared. Thank you very much, Mr. Joseph. Thank you. Thank you. You're awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. It's useful for me and everyone.
Thank you very much.
I need one clarification.
Yes.
You know the lifting plan preparation for the AutoCAD drawings.
Yes.
Can I give one section by how to prepare the lifting plan by AutoCAD? Because I don't know the AutoCAD everything. I'm just doing by manually. If I
what do you think about that?
I need to learn AutoCAD for lifting plan.
Okay. That cannot be covered in 1 hour, you know, and so you can reach out to me privately, then I'll connect you with Mr. Joseph.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have no problem. If you have some doubts, I'm an open guy, and if you have some doubts, talk to John, and he will give you my contacts. You reach me, we discuss about it, and we move forward. It's free of charge. Knowledge is something that when you share it, you learn as well. So
yes, sir.
I have no problem of sharing it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Can I ask one or two questions?
I just want to. Mr. Harrison, allow Stephen to ask.
Okay, yeah, I won't ask much because I could see that I could attest to the knowledge and competency of the presenter today. In fact, this is wonderful. But yeah, I would just like to draw your attention back to, I think there was some question that was being asked in the chat box. Okay. Yeah, there's one of the person who attended, but I think he has left the session right now. So I think he was trying to ask certain question, but probably maybe the way he was presenting it, Mr. Johnson was attending to him as well. So, but I don't know the reason why he left. But I will need clarification on that aspect. You know, I will not go to the area of why mentioning a name, but he was saying there's a difference regarding the I think, is it the periodic inspection for different organizations, like the Qatar Energy, the Qatar Petroleum, Saudi Aramco. I think they have different
requirements
like that. So I think that's what he's trying to bring in. But for me, I don't think it's too necessary like that. Probably that was why Mr. Johnson gave him, maybe the way Mr. Johnson answered him is not too comfortable with it. So just for clarity, purpose, because I know in some industry, construction, oil and gas, even the Qatar Energy, Qatar Petroleum, Qatar Gas or whatever, they have some internal specific requirement. And you said it from the beginning, probably maybe it wasn't here. Some can decide to say, I want to do renew or inspection within 3 months.
It's here because every company has its own requirements, so we cannot
what you've given us is a general term from the from the BS
7121 or other ones, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, let me,
Thank you.
Mr. Steven, let me put some records straight. Actually, in that chart, there were a lot of the question. I think the question we are much, I was only emphasizing on one. The first question he was asking about a specific for life of crane and inspection criteria. And secondly, he said we should not use the name Qatar Gas and Qatar Energy, which is basically the only one I counted. So apart from that, the other ones I did not counter those other informations. So, but in that, let me make it clear that we are here basically to enlighten ourselves, to improve our knowledge in health and safety.
Yes.
So we are not here to promote any company or any organization, and we are not representing any company or any organization. We are here all by ourselves, encourage ourselves, improve our knowledge, teach each other, and learn from each other. So we are not here, we are not putting any company logo, no company name to put down or to put above any other company. So I just want to put that record clear out there.
Thank you very much, John.
Joseph Obi has a
hello.
Raised up. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, please.
Hello. Yes, can you hear me, please?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for this excellent presentation. And I really appreciate your way forward, how you are doing the things in lifting and rigging. My question is,
hello?
And apart from that, of the training company, you take care of yourself.
No, we lost you at some points. Yeah, now we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I am saying that you are damaging the business of training companies in lifting and rigging, and you take care of your security as well. So, hello.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes. My question is, you mentioned the use of man basket with tower crane. In my experience, I never see any man basket operation with tower crane, and it requires a specific system to the mobile crane also. In your experience, did you ever done man lifting operation with tower crane, please? Can you elaborate?
Yes, yes. On Stadium project, we use tower crane to lift a man basket. And yes, it happens when we are doing a drill, okay? When we are doing tower crane rescue drill, and we use that because guys are working on top of, but actually it's a dummy, huh? It's a dummy drill, huh? It was a drill. So the person was not inside, but that can happen. That drill was helping us that in case of any emergency like that, we'll know how to respond to it. So it was not a live thing, but in the procedures, it's clearly stated that you can do a lift, but with a crane, and that crane need to be inspected every 6 months. Yes.
Okay, then the question on this, my response is, if the crane, because as per 7121, it's written that any crane which is doing man lifting operation must have a power loading mechanism. So in that case, that tower crane required power loading mechanism or not?
It's a power loading mechanism system from Putin.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Just to add a little to what Mr. Joseph responded, I was not in the lifting team, but I saw that happen in my previous project as well. The tower crane was used in rescue operation with a man basket. So I've witnessed that also in my previous project. Let's give opportunity to Joseph. Joseph, your hand is up. Joseph Obi. Can you unmute and talk?
Yes, thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you so much again. I just wanted to add something to, let me ask something to what you just answered, and our able teacher has also answered on the tower cranes.
Yes.
You did justice to it. On the tower cranes, tower crane is a crane, it's a type of lifting equipment. So any kind of lifting equipment could be used to lift personnel if it has those features inbuilt by the manufacturer. So the tower crane can also be used. If you look at 7121 BS, you will see the specifications for any equipment to be used as a man lifting machine. I think that settles that. And on the one of, I think somebody asked the difference between a method statement and lifting procedure. And Joseph did a 100% good job on explaining it. But something came to my mind. I said that this is a platform for us to share knowledge. Let me just also drop this one additional. For example, as you just said, the lifting procedure is what a company uses. It is like their standard, so to say, in lifting operations. Correct. Okay. Correct. And method statement, it's part of, is being drawn out of the lifting procedure. And the method statement also is, it can change based on the lifting scenario, but the lifting operation procedure does not change, but your method statement can change depending on what you are lifting and the situations. So that's what I said. Let me just add a little bit here. Thank you.
Thanks, Joseph. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joseph. You have a very strong and commanding voice, and I'm sure you are competent in what you do. So thank you for that contribution.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. It was quite good.
Okay, so I also want to add something or ask a question.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. R.
Yes. Okay, good. So my question is, why every time we are always relying on the BS 7121 and the ASME B30 series? Because, you know, these are two different standards. For ASME B30 series, all lifting accessories must be inspected every 6 months, every 12 monthly. But for BS 7121, rigging accessories must be inspected 6 monthly. Why is it different from these two standards?
Yeah, because we need to actually go for the contingent, standard, not going for the easiest one. So that is why we go for 7121 or ASME. So actually that is the main, and if there is any other requirement specified that we have to go for 3 months, normally the company has to comply with that. But based on the analysis, because if you are working on offshore, it's totally different. When you are working on onshore, it's different. When you are working in oil and gas, it's different. When you are working in mining, it's different. So the company has to analyze which standard they can apply. So that's what I believe. Yes.
Because I know ASME is for North America, South America, they use ASME mandate and OSHA. BS 7121 applies only to the UK.
To the UK, yes. And Middle East, because all the procedure from for Middle East are copy paste from 7121.
Okay, so it's based on location. But I don't think,
yes, it's good.
For example, a company like Aramco is always using American standards. So for a company like Aramco, they are going to comply by OSHA and ASME.
ASME, correct.
And the company can get its own examination scheme, like maybe 3 months or 6 months or whatever is different. But for the standards, I don't know why they keep changing the standards based on location. Because maybe I'm in America, I do 6 monthly or annual, but I relocate to the UK, I do different stuff.
Yeah, honestly, I cannot give an answer actually to why in US they use this or why in I have no answer for that. Correct. I have no answer for that. Mr. R.
Thank you.
Anyway, as long as the company has its own lifting and rigging procedure, which is more contingent than the BS 7121 or ASME or any other requirement, we proceed with the company requirement. If the company says that we have to inspect the equipment for 3 months, let's proceed for that.
I'm suggesting an answer to what he just said.
Okay.
Different regions have their own environmental factors in terms of temperature. And the truth is that the weather condition also definitely have effects on all these equipment, this lifting equipment. So you cannot, because even when you go to a country that is they experience more of winter, you cannot compare to a country like Qatar. You understand? Even like Qatar now, when you park your car outside, within some few minutes, directly under the sun, when you want to start your car, you discover that even the fuel in the injector is already dried up. And you discover that over years, some part of the engine will start to be, some wire will start to be breaking. So I still believe, from my own understanding, I believe the environmental factor is what they always consider. Because you cannot compare a crane that is being beaten by rain or snow as compared to the one that is directly exposed to the sun, high temperature. So their duration of inspection will likely to vary. From my own suggestion, I've not seen it written anywhere, but that is the way I reason from my own perspective.
Definitely is one of the factors. The environmental requirement is one of the factors as well. So, yes.
Yes.
What
environmental requirements.
Yes, what the brother said is absolutely true, because it is also written in the LIA. When I done interest exam, it's written in the law that if the authorized competent inspector or a competent person means he can make the duration of the inspection shorter than what is the 6 months or 1 year, based on the environmental condition, if the equipment is used in acidic or basic environment. So it's also written in the LIA chapter 1 law of the basic, the level 1 of the exam. Thank you.
Thanks, Wakas. Thank you. Actually, I will present Wakas. Wakas is working with me, and he's a lifting and rigging specialist as well. And LIA approved the inspector. So thanks, Wakas.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you.
Mr. Joseph, your hand is still up. Is it the previous one? Okay. I think we have done justice to the topic. Lifting operations is a very wide topic, and we are not expected to exhaust everything today. And the law of diminishing returns might also start applying if we stay here for a long time. So it's better we call it a day, and we can reconvene next time. So I'm happy that we all joined today, and I say thank you all for joining. Thank you to Mr. Joseph for the wonderful presentation today, and to everyone who has contributed today. Thank you. I've learned a lot from you guys, and I'm sure that you benefited as well. So next week, Thursday, we'll convene again, and we'll be able to discuss another topic. So maybe we'll continue with lifting, but if we have another topic that is more urgent, we can discuss it as well. Mr. Femi, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to request if Mr.
Joseph.
Mr. Joseph, yeah, could please share the presentation with you so we can grab some things from it. It would be well appreciated, please.
No problem. I will welcome.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Anyone who needs a CPD certificate should just reach out to me with his full details so that we'll prepare it and give you.
I need all the CPD. Please give to me now.
thank you guys. Thank you for coming. See you same time next week.
Mr. John, thank you very much. And everyone, thank you. Cheers.
Thank you also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Steven, enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, Morgan.
Thank you guys.
You know you're from David today, and your family don't come.
He was
don't
there
keep
now.
quiet.
He was here.